Greetings, adventurers. Today we embark on a quest to uncover the valuable lessons that Baldur's Gate 3, this epic game, holds for tabletop role-playing. Like many of you, I've spent countless hours exploring its open world, enjoying time with its characters, and covering all the different secrets that I can, and I still feel like I'm only scratching the surface, but a few valuable lessons spring forth from this fantastic game that I feel can enhance role-playing across a variety of genres, whether you are playing Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, or any other new role-playing game that I am missing at the moment. I'm sure that there are lessons in here that are going to be useful for you, that can be extrapolated and incorporated into your own tabletop games. The first thing Baldur's Gate 3 does incredibly well is emphasize player agency. It allows players to shape the narrative. This translates to providing players with meaningful choices that impact the story. Don't get me wrong, it's still a video game, there are still limitations, but a flexible world enhances the magic of collaborative storytelling. One of the biggest choices you face is deciding whether or not to trust an ally, allowing allies to bicker amongst themselves or intervene and sort out their problems. Deciding whether or not to side with a kobold of druids or with a group of travellers. These decisions add so much to the story of Baldur's Gate. And I feel like these lessons make a good role-playing game at the table. Allow players to shape the narrative. Make sure that their decisions have weight and impact. If we're running a pre-existing module, we become too grounded to what the words in the module tell us we can or cannot do. Allowing players to be creative and to change the story at our table is one of the many things that can make collaborative storytelling in a flexible world far more enjoyable. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying just say yes to whatever your players want to do. But being able to say yes and to go off script, so to speak, is a very valuable tool and will make your world feel a lot more open to your players. Furthermore, actions have consequences in Baldur's Gate 3. Similarly, in tabletop role-playing games, the choices players make should echo through the campaign. It's not just about success or failure, not just about one good check. It's about the journey and the ripples that it creates. In Baldur's Gate, if you save a group of travellers trying to reach Baldur's Gate, you can meet them once they have arrived at the city, and you can be rewarded for the effort you have put in. If you fail to save them, their absence in the city is also felt, and you notice that certain spaces feel a lot more empty. The second lesson is dynamic characters. Characters breathe life into the Forgotten Realms. Every character has a story and motives and flaws. In your tabletop role-playing campaigns, craft NPCs with depth. It's the quirks and complexities that make interactions memorable. Seeing just how exciting it is to explore a character's motivations has encouraged me to incorporate NPCs into my world who are undeniably complicated. The character of Astarion and the character of Shadowheart. These are not good characters, though they can grow to be with your influence in the game. Incorporating grey NPCs into your adventures that have complex motivations and aren't wholly evil but have dark desires is a really interesting way of making your world spring to life and making complex interactions with NPCs far more memorable. Don't get me wrong, I don't think every NPC needs to be this way, but crafting some NPCs with depth and quirks and complexities make your world seem far more vibrant and alive. In this way, Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't shy away from moral ambiguity. Alignments are nuanced. The choices often lie in the grey. Consider moral dilemmas that challenge characters, fostering thought-provoking moments. Thinking back to the game, there are multiple moments where you can allow characters the opportunity for revenge. Allowing them to achieve this can lead them down a dark path, encouraging them to take the higher road, though harder, leads to a much better outcome in the long run. Even your own character can strive to achieve new heights of power at the cost of their own humanity. but the consequences of these decisions are still felt within the game. The next lesson that I took from this game is the atmosphere that it creates and the immersion into the world. This game masterfully crafts atmosphere and immersion. The style of a top-down role-playing game is not one that normally interests me for computer-based games. Drawing players into the world of Baldur's Gate 3 is done so effortlessly. For tabletop role-playing games, descriptions, music, and ambience elevate the experience, making the imaginary real and unforgettable. There are some fantastic free playlists that can be found on YouTube and Spotify, a few of which I have linked in the description, to help create this atmosphere. With descriptions, try focusing on 2 descriptions per room. Focus on what it smells, sounds, feels, and looks like to enter into a dungeon crypt. 2 descriptions of a room is plenty to give the players enough detail to feel like they're there. And if you're playing in person, try lowering the lighting in a room, try setting the scene. Physical props can also be a great way of immersing real-life players in the game, and virtual handouts can be used on most virtual tabletops to create this same sort of feeling. I think the beauty of Baldur's Gate 3 lies in the collaboration between players and developers. Tabletop role-playing games are no different. The story unfolds through shared creativity. Encourage your players to contribute to the lore and world building. I think that this is partly relinquishing control for the DM, but when you do this, I think that it will have massive benefits for your game. Encourage your players to come up with stories about the world, places that their characters are from, that you haven't had a chance to flesh out and fulfill. They will feel like the world is partly theirs. They will feel a sense of ownership and belonging and be more comfortable role-playing within a world that they understand and have helped to design. Now, I haven't spoken a lot about the actual mechanics of Baldur's Gate 3 because they are so similar to Dungeons&Dragons 5th edition, and I wanted this to be more applicable to other tabletop role-playing games. But there are 3 that D&D 5th edition does not have that I think are really interesting to look for. The first is unique weapon properties. This is just an interesting feature that other games incorporate that Dungeons & Dragons just doesn't, and I think a lot of players really enjoy the strategic element of having this. The second is environmental hazards. Things like oil on the floor that can be burned and cause fires, dealing damage to lots of creatures, is a really interesting one to incorporate. It's an environmental hazard or a trap that's just missing in a lot of tabletop games. And the last one is the unstoppable condition. This is something that is a good way to buff a big bad evil guy or an enemy, or can even be a really nice reward for a player. Once per day they get to activate this, and the next attack that's going to hit them only deals 1 point of damage. It's a really interesting feature to put into a game, and I think it's a nice mechanic that could be incorporated into lots of different games in some way, shape or form. As we get towards the end of this video, I just want to say that inspiration comes from anywhere and everywhere. If a game inspires you, so be it. If a film gives you an incredible idea for a story or a plot, then use it. If you're reading a book and you come across something unique and wonderful, then throw it into your tabletop game. As is commonly said, there is no original idea anymore. We are only as smart as the references we steal. Incorporate them into your game and make them your own. These are games that we play with our friends to make lasting memories. Use whatever tools you can to help you craft those memories. I hope this video has been useful to you. Thank you very much for watching.